chose was Press Here by Herve Tullet. And this book is about progression through using dots as well as the primary colors blue, red, and yellow. It could also be seen as cause and effect because the pages have like rub the dot and then the next page the dot is now red, or tap on this dot and the next page there's now 5 of them, so on and so forth. So it's having the reader really interact with each page. That being said, the genre I would be interaction as well as pictures because I can show an example here. So they're very simple. Not too much wording. I also like how the pages are white, and then the colors that they choose are very bright. So it's not too overstimulating on the reader. It just straight to the point. It's also, like I mentioned, very little words. And this book is definitely aimed for a younger target. So not too many words. Pretty simple. Not too bad to really grasp onto. A direct quote that I found from this book that really stood out to me, I actually had wrote it down because I don't think I'm going to be able to find the page right away. It was from page 31 in the book, and it's basically saying, I'll just read it off here. Hold on, 2 of those dots seem to have switched places, but which one? And basically they're in a row in a pattern, and I just thought that was pretty cool because while the book is already having them follow instructions and tapping on this page or whatever, I found myself, here it is. There we go. I found myself while I was reading this book, I actually was trying to figure out which 2 dots had switched places, and I even was going back a couple pages to find the original pattern that it was referencing to figure out which ones these were. So I thought that was pretty interesting because it's also having them kind of like a memory game, I guess you could say, as a little bit more interaction rather than just rubbing the page or tapping the page, blowing, all of that sort. That being said, I had made a list of strengths and weaknesses, and I couldn't find any weaknesses. Maybe I was just being too nice, who knows. But for me personally, I felt that this book really had a lot more strengths than anything. With my list here, one of them that I had was that it has students using their motor skills. So as I previously mentioned, the instructions that they have, it's telling them to tap on the page or blow on the page, shake the page, put the book straight up, etc., etc. So rather than them just hearing or being read the book, or maybe they're even reading the book, they're actually doing stuff with their hands with the book, which I feel can grasp their attention a lot more than just simply reading the book to them. Another thing was that the color. I really liked the color that they used. I also mentioned how it was on a white page and it makes the color stand out. I liked that a lot. I also liked how they used the primary colors because that could also be used as a teaching moment, teaching them colors. And, with this book being for younger students, they're going to be, learning about the colors of the rainbow and so forth and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool that they use those 3 colors specifically. And it's also not, there's not too many colors going on. Very simple, very, 3 colors, that's it. So again, it's not too much on them, very straight to the point. I also put that it includes counting and patterns. So, like how I said, there is a page where they have to tap on the dot 5 times. And I feel like that could also be used as, a little teaching moment because like I said, this book is aimed for a younger target, and they could still be learning counting and their numbers and such. So, when reading the book, telling them to tap on the page 5 times, you can use that to teach them, like, okay, how many times, or how long does it take to get to 5, or, how many taps is 5, like, how many times are you going to tap on the table or the book or whatever, and that's going to equal 5 taps, if that makes any sense. Hopefully that does. And then the pattern too, like the page that I showed, that I used my quote, it had a pattern that could also teach them patterns and how patterns work, and how they repeat over and over and such. And the last one that I had for strengths was, as I've been speaking about, was instruction. Again, these are young students. Instructions are very important, especially to teach them at a young age, so they can start learning how instructions work and using them. And so whenever you have a book telling you, like, oh, rub on this dot on the left, rub on this dot on the right, it's teaching them how, like how I said, it's teaching them how instructions work. And it could also be used as another teaching moment for the teacher, showing them, like, okay, what is it telling you to do? Now do the action, repeat it on the other page. Or what is this page telling you? Now do that. And yeah, so I those were my, like, strengths that I found in the book that I really liked. With all that, I'm sure it's pretty obvious to know that this book would pertain to preschool, kindergarten, because those are the grade levels where students are being introduced to colors, to numbers, learning instructions, using their motor skills, like I mentioned in my strengths, which, if we're looking at grade level, which is preschool to kindergarten, this age would be 5-year-olds, but this could also go as young as 2-3 years old, because it doesn't hurt to teach kids young on how to count. And so yeah. And what was next? I have, like, a little list. The book related activity. So looking at this, obviously a kid's not gonna be able to, like, I'm not gonna expect a kid to write a whole lot about this book, especially because they're younger, so I would most definitely use a very a more of a hands-on activity. And something that came into mind was, well, when I first chose this book, I saw the image, I thought of the dot, like, markers. And so after reading this book, I feel like for the age especially, a fun activity could be them creating their own press here page, whether it, and have them have fun with it. Like, even, like, part of the cover is this, or there's some that are scattered all over, like this I like this one. This would be, like, a good example. And so yeah, like, just giving them a blank white piece of paper and giving them dot markers and allowing the students themselves to basically just create their own page, whether it be trying to mimic one from the book that they thought was cute or that they liked, or it's creating something completely different and just using their imagination to really capture what they want. So yeah, that is Press Here by Herve Tullet. Sorry, I completely skipped the name. And I feel that this book, I would definitely recommend this book for younger students. I feel that even though it's very simple, it's very straightforward and can actually be, or includes a lot of teaching in it.